Welcome back to the Abundant Culture Podcast, where business owners like you come to learn how to grow the valuation of their companies so they can sell in the future. On this show, you'll learn how to sell for top dollar and invest in profitable businesses around the country. Now, here are your hosts, Jazz and Joe.
Hello, welcome back to the Abundant Culture Podcast. This week, Joe and I wanted to talk to you about what we're currently learning in our business. And one of the major things that we're learning right now is about KPIs. And KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. So do you want to start and let me know kind of what you've been learning in regards to it?
Yeah. Basically, this journey stemmed from the idea that I got from a quote, and I don't remember where I heard the quote or who said it, but the quote was, what doesn't get measured a lot of times doesn't get done. And what I realized was, I can go into my accounting software and see where my business is at on a, at a revenue, profit and loss basis, or, how much inventory we have and things of that nature. I can go in and look at that stuff on a, month per month basis, even more if I wanted to. But what I realized is I wasn't seeing the trend. And for a while, I was studying kind of the stock market. And one of the things that always stuck with me in studying the stock market is the trend is your friend. Basically, what that meant is don't go against the trend. And I think, if it's important to track trends when it comes to your investments or in the stock market, then it should be just as important, if not even more important, to track trends in your business. And what I realized is that, I can be looking at my sales this month and I can say, oh, we didn't do too bad this month, or, oh, we could have did better this month. But all that information is relative to where you've been before. And I think one of the things that I was missing in my business that I'm currently trying to fix now is I would look at our sales or look at different numbers in our business, and I will make a judgment on it. Oh, it was good, it was bad, or it could have been better, or it was okay, whatever the case may be. But I wasn't necessarily comparing it to last month, month before last year, last season, last anything. So it was hard for me to tell, okay, are we generally up? Are we generally flat? Or are we generally down? And if we are up from when? If we are flat, how long have we been flat? If we are down, how long have we been trending down in our numbers? So I recognize that, and because I'm starting a private equity fund, I needed a very easy tool that I can use to look at a company, see how it's performing within about 5 minutes, see all the key performance indicators, and make a very educated judgment calls based on that information. If everything's up by a certain percentage, keep doing whatever I was doing before and tell the team to keep doing the same. If, things are starting to stagnate, then, obviously there's other judgment calls that I can make from there. And if things are going down, that's even another set of judgment calls as well. But let's say if I have, 10 to 15 companies right now, it would be really hard for me to know how certain things in the company is performing based on the past metrics. So that's why I started to just research, just key performance indicators. And I haven't necessarily found the tool that I'm super comfortable with yet. There's a tool called Zoho, and it allows you to track key performance indicators, but I haven't necessarily mastered it yet. So it's
just at the top of our list for right now.
Yeah, I'll kind of let you guys know if something changes. So we're still learning that platform. But basically, I've just been trying to figure out what tools can I use to track the KPIs in my business. And I think there's a wide range of different KPIs that you can actually use in your business. I think one of the most important ones is sales. So the way a KPI tracker would work is you would figure out if you wanted to track on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. I think monthly is a good sweet spot, but you can track it more than that if you would like. And what it does is, let's say in March, I did $10,000 in sales. Well, in what a KPI tracker would do is you could input $10,000 in sales for the month of March. And then when it moves to April, let's say you did $11,000 in sales, which is a 10% uptick. You would put for April that you did $11,000 that month. And then let's say you stayed at $11,000 for the month of May, you would input $11,000 for May. So what it does is when you input that data, and you can, track this as far back as you want. I think it's important for small business owners who will eventually want to sell or exit their company to track all the way back for the past 3 years, because any financial institution, any bank, or any buyer is going to want to know the last 3 years of data. Anything beyond 3 years is something that you can definitely track, but usually it just doesn't matter as much as the past 3 years.
If you own a small business and you might be looking to sell, you could run into some major issues. Forbes estimates that 9 out of 10 businesses listed never actually sell. Why? Because there's only one way to sell. You need to do these 4 steps first. So if you want to be a part of the 10% of businesses that sell for profits, we've created a free checklist for you so you can sell without those hurdles that normally hold you back. Download the free checklist by visiting www.abundantculture.co/checklist.
Basically, you input that data, and what it does is and this line shows you the trend, basically. So from March to April, you would have had a 10% increase in that line. So the line would have sloped up. And April to May, you did the same amount of sales. So from April to May, it'll be a little, flat. So it shows you the trend of your business. It shows you when are you going up, when are you flat, when are you going down. And I think it's really easy to look at a line graph and say, oh, we're up this month. Keep up the good work, team. Or, oh, we're flat this month. Maybe we need to put more money into marketing. Or maybe we need to have some training for our sales team. Or, oh, we're down this month. What the heck happened? So I think sales is one of those the most important KPIs, but there's tons of other ones. I think there's at least 13. I can't remember exactly how much I have, but there's at least 13 KPIs that I will be trying to track in my business moving forward.
And on the sales KPI part, I think most POS system, point of sale systems or invoice systems, whatever you're using, whether it's Square or QuickBooks or whatever, I think most of those softwares do already track the trends. So you should be able to log in and just see that data. But what we're saying is to take the data from whatever system, POS system you're using, and then input that into your own report, because you don't want to just track just the sales, but you want to track a lot of other things too, because all of those little KPIs, they all add up to the big KPI, and then you could kind of nip it in the bud and see, like Joe was just saying, what needs to be revised, what needs to be worked on more, what is going good, and just we need to keep on at whatever pace we've been at.
Absolutely. Another good KPI to track, key performance indicator, is your different expenses. And there's actually, I know Zoho integrates with some accounting software. I don't know if it integrates with all accounting software, but it will take your different expense categories from whatever accounting software that you're using, and then upload it to Zoho, and then you can have your sales and your expenses on the same chart. And what that does is it kind of supercharges your decision making, because now you not only see your sales, but you also see your sales in relation to your expenses and your expenses in relation to your sales. And one of the things that I think is most important about that is, keep making sure that your expenses aren't going up. And if you have a business that sells a product, obviously waste and theft are always going to be issues that you want to watch out for. Hopefully they aren't issues in your company, but it's always a possibility that can happen. And if you see a situation where your cost of goods are rising and your sales isn't necessarily rising with your cost of goods, you know that you have either a waste problem, a theft problem, or, something's just honestly getting lost. That's a possibility as well. So it's important to track, income, expenses, have a KPI for cash flow. I think you should have KPIs for marketing. So you want to track reach. Reach is how many people are seeing your content. You want to track impressions, which is how much your content is being shown. I didn't know the difference between reach and impressions until I kind of researched it a little bit more the other day. And the basic premise, the difference between those two things and the reason why you want to track both of them is because reach is how many individuals are seeing your content, and impressions are how many times that content has been shown in general, even if it's been shown to the same person multiple times. So let's say you have a reach of 50 people, but you have 100 impressions. That means each of those, on average, each of those 50 individuals that you reached has saw your content at least 2 times, because you have 100 impressions but only a reach of 50. So you want to track reach, impressions, and it's really easy to do through Facebook. I'm not sure about other platforms as yet because I'm still really learning a lot more about marketing and those different types of metrics. You definitely want to track clicks, link clicks, how many times somebody clicks on your ad or goes to your website or clicks a certain button on your website or whatever the case may be.
Or your email.
Yeah. And you also want to check the actual, sale, if you can, the different types of conversions. And there's more KPIs, but I think those are some of the most important ones. Also, reviews are a good KPI to track too, yes, as well.
So speaking on reviews, I'll go into the individual KPIs because you don't have just company KPIs, but I just recently learned that you can have individual KPIs for each team member. And I've been obsessed with Natalie Workman's podcast lately. So that's where I've been learning a lot more from. And she mentioned how they have like KPIs for each person in like the 10X Ventures, Cardone Ventures company, and what that means for that company, but it didn't really apply because the coffee shop that we have now and Cardone Ventures are two completely different things. But what I did take away from that is that we could track what our employees are doing. So moving forward, we just spoke with our manager the other day about how we're going to go forward tracking each employee. And one of the KPIs we came up with was that each employee had 3 reviews from their shift times, like on Google or Facebook or Square, whatever it was, from a customer. So each employee needs to bring in 3 reviews per month. So that makes sure that we get at least 15 reviews per month. And then, if they're asking every single customer, then hopefully we can get even more. Hopefully we can get 20 reviews per month instead of just 15 or 30 or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
And then what was the other KPIs? I remember another one was we wanted them to start making personal goals.
Yeah.
And they needed to hit that goal whenever they set the time for it was. And I can't really remember the other 2 off the top of my head.
I can't either. I just remember the company goals.
Yeah, but basically we wanted to make sure that we're tracking the company KPIs and the individual KPIs because they all add up to a healthy company. We want our companies to be financially healthy and, healthy in other ways too. But sales, it always goes back to sales. It's what really drives it, because without sales, you don't even have a company.
Absolutely. And without cash flow, you won't have a company for much longer either. So definitely make sure that you're tracking everything in your business that matters to you. If it vaguely matters to you, you should track it. Mm-hmm. And I think when you start to actually build out your KPI tracker, I think you're going to have a lot of different data points on there. And I don't think you should be intimidated by data. A lot of people are. They don't want too much information. But the KPI tracker, the whole point of it is to organize the data in a way that makes it a lot more easy to read and a lot more understandable. So I don't think you should be afraid of tracking too many things in your company, because I would rather track it and not pay too much attention to it on a month-to-month basis than to one day see that it's important and then I haven't tracked it for the last 2-3 years, and I can't really do anything but move forward with the data that I'm collecting now. So I think it's super important that you track absolutely everything you can. Like I said, I know it was at least 13 different things that I was going to be tracking in my company,
but way more.
But I'm pretty sure it's more. I stopped counting at 13. But it's super important, because if you can't, as a business owner, you can't make intelligent decisions unless you know if things are trending up, trending down, or just being stagnant. And I think it's important to know that.
Yeah. So we will leave this episode on this little quote. And that quote is, data is your best friend. Data is your new BFF. So we hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you leave a review and let us know if you need us to clarify or go more in depth into any of this. And we'll see you next week. If you don't diversify your investment portfolio, you could end up losing it all. But most business owners don't know how to diversify to mitigate those risks. That's why we created this resource for you. This passive investing guide is a must-have if you're planning to invest in businesses. Don't hesitate. If you have more than 25 grand liquid, then you can't afford not to take advantage of this resource. Download the 4 reasons why in 2021 you need small businesses in your portfolio now by going to www.abundantculture.co/guide.
Thank you for listening to the Abundant Culture Podcast with Jazz and Joe. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you subscribe, then leave an honest rating and review. And remember, we're ready to buy your business. So if you're ready to sell or passively invest in other small businesses, go to abundantculture.co for more information. We publish episodes every Friday, so we'll see you next week.